Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for coming back. This is WordsrTough. My name is Jose Rodriguez, and I have here my co-host
David Diokendo.
And we wanted to bring you another edition of our UFC MMA, recaps and what we're looking forward to in upcoming fights. We really enjoyed that episode, and we just had some amazing fights that just passed by. We have UFC.
It was UFC 261. That is my mic good, by the way? Because I wasn't here when we did mic check. It was UFC 261, and I mean there was fights before that, boxing fights with Jake Paul and Ben Askren. And I was mentioning before how I predicted the fights. I predicted who's gonna win, but I was wrong in how they're gonna win. So
you were half Mystic Dave.
Yes, I was. I mean, if I was gambling, I would have won something.
Yeah,
but every fight that I predicted, the winner actually won. How they won was bizarre, from like the Wydman Uriah Hall fight to impressive like Usman Mazda Doll fight.
Yeah, and I think that card from beginning to end, it didn't disappoint.
No.
You know, from action to like just weird moments that you've never seen before. I guess someone, if you brought a friend that was a casual and you're like, this fight's gonna be amazing,
right?
They would be mind blown. They'd be like, oh my god, like is every fight like this?
Yeah, well, you got everything from like cringe, like when Anthony Smith fought Jimmy Crute, his knee buckled, and everyone was like, "Ugh."
That was the calf kick, the nerve thing. The same thing happened to Henry Cejudo.
Yeah,
and it just goes to show you, like, you know, even an Olympic athlete, he's not immune to something so powerful like that.
But Jimmy Crute, impressive. He was still able to take down Anthony Smith with like a shot knee, and end the round. Sadly, the doctor stopped the fight too. Wydman versus Uriah Hall, and that was like,
he could not step.
I don't know. I can't find the right word. That was terrible.
It was, for me,
arduous.
I was looking at it and I thought it was like something out of like the movie Constantine or some shit.
You
like
couldn't
that.
write that. If someone, I maybe I'm stealing this for somebody, but I maybe I am. But it's like if you wrote that story. Like if it just say it was like Rocky, but like if you wrote that story like this, that's not even like, what's the possibility of that happening? Of not that his shin literally broke in half, but the fact that years prior, I think maybe like 7-8 years at this point, that happened against Anderson Silva against Wydman.
He officially dethroned him. And that's how he took the throne.
That was the second time.
Yeah, the second fight.
That was
but
a
the
rematch.
first one was the whole fluke. Like,
yeah, he was clowning him.
This was the official. Like, now you can't say anything.
Yeah, and it was just, it's one of those things where it's I don't know. That's a bizarre twist. Of sorts.
I told my friend, I'm like, it feels like did he sell his soul to be Anderson, and then like this was his payment? This is like some kind of like devil shit. Like,
it's like some brujeria. It's like it's just. But one thing I wanted to mention, and I actually had to pull it up because this is why I don't comment on YouTube. So when we ask you guys to comment, I understand why not, because if you say one thing and that page has like a big following, you're gonna get trolls. People just jump on you. But like, I actually wrote like a nice remark for Uriah Hall. I put it on the Mac Life YouTube page. Mm-hmm. And Uriah Hall is talking about, by the way, just to give you guys context, Uriah Hall was a fighter that fought Wydman 17 seconds into the fight. Wydman low kicks him, I guess upper knee or lower knee, I forget, but calf kick or a shin kick. Hall checks it. Wydman's shin just literally snaps in half. It looks like rubber. It was just really surreal. But afterwards, Uriah Hall was very respectful and sportsman, and he even said like, hey, no matter in the future, if he comes back, no matter where I am in the rankings, I owe you a fight.
Yeah.
Which is really admirable. But I commented, I got really upset. I was legit like, what is wrong with people? And again, like most people, you can have, this is the best analogy I can give you. You can have like a perfect painting, this beautiful painting or a sculpture, and you have like one smudge or that one black dot or white, whatever it is, you just look at that dot like, I don't like that, even though the whole painting is beautiful.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people did like this comment. I wrote, Uriah Hall has matured leaps and bounds as far as his belief in himself and as a fighter. Such a tragic and shocking ending to a fight. Uriah is so respectful and articulate. And I got like 15 comments like, you don't even know him. You're talking like you know him. He was always mature. Have you even seen Tough? I'm like, and then I added, you can edit. Thank God you can edit now on YouTube. I put, it is amazing how I'm giving props and respect to Hall and it's somehow being viewed as an insult. I guess anything could be misinterpreted these days. Like I'm saying he's so respectful. Look how awesome he is.
Yeah.
He's so mature, or he's matured so much as a fighter. Everyone's like, yo, fuck you, dude. You don't know him. I'm like, of course I don't know him, but I'm looking at the video. It was one of those moments I'm like, I earned that. I deserve that because
you deserve to get dragged.
once you put your comment out there, you're gonna be criticized even if you're trying to be positive and respectful.
Yeah, no, it's you open yourself up to all the shots. But another thing that I wanted to mention about that was I kind of did it myself, and I know that it eventually became a thing online too, where I went back and watched the Anderson kick, when he kicked Wydman. And after watching Uriah Hall there, I remembered how Chris Wydman was celebrating in the ring, and I remember, and I'm a big fan of Chris Wydman and also Matt Serra and that whole crew. I love them. They remind me so much of Jersey and New York, style like type of people.
I don't remember his reaction. What was
they were like in the ring, like fuck them, this and that. You don't remember?
Really?
Matt Serra. Yeah, there's like audio.
I need to
him,
look at that video
because I guess then Chris Wydman after a little while felt a little bad, and he was just like fuck him, like don't worry about it, you won, this and that. But as soon as he broke his leg when he checked the kick, Wydman was like running around the whole ring and like happy, you know what I mean? Like kind of the complete polar opposite of Uriah Hall.
My memory is so off. I gotta rewatch that.
I invite you guys.
So you're kind of comparing Uriah Hall's reaction, which was immediate like empathy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like night and
shock.
Day. Yep.
And you're okay.
That kind of could be the karma. You know what I mean? That karmic exchange. That
if karma's a thing, then that's definitely karma. Yeah. I just realized you only have 2 cameras today. You have 2.
Yep.
I'm usually seeing a 3rd one here. But yeah, I think sportsmanship is. I don't know. I think the UFC is definitely way more established, but I do think sportsmanship is like, for me. I don't care if someone wins? Of course I care, but like, Mazda Doll, who got sadly KO'd. I predicted he was gonna lose. Not like that though. Yeah. Even he was like, I'm okay, and he was telling his kids, I'm okay, just a little mosquito bite, I'm fine. But he won fair and square. Like he had no, he even said I have no excuses. I thought he was gonna do certain things. He didn't do the things I expected him to do, as opposed to just like walking off like no interview. I mean, I'm still kind of on the fence when it comes to like interviewing a guy that just got knocked out.
Yeah, definitely.
It seems like Joe Rogan backpedaled on his stance. I don't know if they required him to speak to them.
I think maybe now with those, it's like if it's such a big fight, they put it in the contract, like they want you to talk if you're able to,
Right.
Like if it's possible, they already tell the fighter, like if one of you loses, like you're probably going to talk because it's such a huge fight. But yeah, I did see that a lot of times they're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, it was well, let's actually go down the
yeah.
Let's go down the card. So UFC 261, it was Usman versus Mazda Doll, Thug Rose versus Wiley Zhang.
Well, you know what? We did the 2 on the bottom, so we could go the reverse order.
You go up?
Yeah, we could go to the next title fight.
Yeah.
We went
Actually, yeah, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, the Valentina Shevchenko. I just call her the Bullet because I can't say Shevchenko. I don't think I'm even saying that right.
Yeah, Shevchenko. She's one of my favorites. In and out of the ring. Against
Jessica Andrade, she won, I believe, in the 2nd round via KO/TKO. If you ever actually Google the fight results, it'll just tell you TKO/KO or KO. They won't say KO or TKO. They say both. I don't know why. But what's impressive about the bullet is the fact that everyone, I'm gonna say everyone, I mean like the media, news media outlets and all that, and even some fighters saying Andrade is stronger and like a bull, and Valentina has rarely ever fights people that are really, really strong, and she's gonna get bullied. And she's like, okay, like, you know, challenge accepted. And then she just like, I'm not even gonna strike with you. I'm just gonna like manhandle you to the ground and just pummel you.
Yeah, she totally put her in every bad position on the ground, and showed her that she had nothing for her from the guard to get up. You know what I mean? It was like mauling.
She teed off on her, and I thought it was gonna be like her stand up and just get away from the fence and, you know, backpedal and counter strike. She was like, no, I'm gonna grapple you and take you down and just manhandle you.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed.
I'd like for her to put me in that crucifix position. I don't mean that in any weird way, but I'd love to see, because there's some people who have a really good like clamp down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really, like sometimes I've been in a position where you're there and you feel helpless, but you find a way to get out. You know what I mean? And it seems like Andrade was so strong. I thought she was surely going to get out eventually.
Would think,
take a couple shots and just sacrifice the shots for like making space, but she couldn't get out, and she's so strong.
I think there was one fight where Derek Lewis actually, he didn't fight this during this card, but there was one time he was fighting. He was on the ground on a crucifix position, and he was like the first guy you can literally see him decide to just stand up.
Yeah.
He just decided, I'm just gonna stand, and he just stood up. Like, and I think he was completely in a really bad position. And I think whoever's commentating is like, did he just like stand up? Just like, I'm just gonna stand. That's really hard to do. If someone ever gets you in a crucifix position on top, where your arms are like this, both arms are trapped, it's really hard to do anything. And, you know, in an MMA context, they're gonna get just elbowed in the face.
Yeah. And shout out to the train in Garfield passing by. He always makes little cameos in our podcast.
I get kind of nostalgic because I was pretty much raised up till the age of like 13 in Garfield, and my bedroom was literally like maybe about 50 yards away from like the railroad tracks.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to sleep through anything.
You guys know each other very well.
Yes.
No, there'll be some nights it'll be like 2 a.m. and I'll be like, what is, like, is there a deer
in the
on
house
tracks or something?
House change. The heart.
They're
house
going
shakes.
crazy on it, like just going away on it. But yeah, you know what? One of the episodes when we were doing the creepy, you know, like the
you hear it in the background.
Yeah, it like added a little bit to it.
The nuance.
Yeah.
One thing I've realized, something I do like to hear our previous episodes just to make sure like it sounds right, or like maybe I kept saying or like way too much, just to kind of critique myself. Just kind of okay, let me stop doing that. But like, I didn't even realize the train was passing by until I reheard the podcast, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's Garfield people have that blocking out of the train.
Yeah. But who do you or what do you think is next for Valentina?
I'm not quite sure. She seems like she wants to stay active, and they can't do another fight with Amanda Nunes.
No,
but you know what? The crazy thing is, I think she beat her the first fight.
I think it's 1-1. I think there are two fights. It was Amanda Nunes won the first one. I think Shevchenko won the second one, but she lost via split, I believe. I think it was split decision. Yeah, I still think Amanda might have her number a little bit, because if you kind of compare like their competition, I think Amanda has fought tougher opponents than Shevchenko has. So I think if they did have a rematch, I don't know. I still think it might lean more towards Amanda. I don't see Amanda finishing Shevchenko though, but
yeah, I don't know. I just think Shevchenko's still getting better, and Amanda's great too, and she's the GOAT right now, and it's just like
female GOAT.
It was so close. Yeah, female GOAT.
Okay. Because people get triggered by calling a female. I was gonna say a female woman.
Well,
a female fighter the GOAT.
She's outright female GOAT.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, she is the best fighter in the world, and you know, aside from, you know, like people who think that John Jones is the best fighter, people who think Khabib is the best fighter, they're really the three.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what's funny? I just remembered. every time when I think of the GOAT, I always think of Stevie Nicks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because she kind of sounds like a goat a little bit. I remember there was a South Park episode where they had a goat kind of running around, and during an episode, and they just kept calling the goat Stevie. Oh Stevie, come back! And like just running around. But anyway, anytime I hear like the word the goat or female goat, I always think of Stevie Nicks. She's a great singer. I'm not saying, but she has a distinctive voice, very goat-like. But I mean, the Valentina. I mean, Andrade. I really don't know where she's gonna go. But Shevchenko, I think it's just go do another round. Just go through everybody again.
Yeah, and I couldn't really clearly think about her, what was next for her, but actually when I was trying to find someone for her, it popped in my head. There's that female fighter in PFL, but I think that would be for Amanda, right?
What's her name?
She was like another judo girl, and supposedly and she's like jacked.
I forget. She's a gold medalist.
Yeah, she's good.
One of the first, not the first, I think one of the first gold medalists in judo in United States. I don't know why. Oh, that's not good, because I followed her career for a bit, and she's very well built young lady. She dwarfs like Ronda Rousey when it comes to just size. It look, or at least in pictures. Like I don't know them, but I guess you're just looking it up real quick.
Yeah, I'm looking it up real quick while you're hyping her up.
Yeah. But yeah, she's an amazing, I guess you can call it judoka or judo player. Just tosses ragdolls women. But I think, obviously, we're not professional fighters in any way. Obviously, her game is very, I guess you can say, one-dimensional right now. That's not an insult. That's like people say, oh, one-dimensional, like it's a bad thing. Like, no, like you're a master in this one thing, which is great, and you got really far doing that. But of course, if you're going to fight someone like Shevchenko, that's like, you got to do everything. You know?
And that is like, Kayla Harrison, by the way.
Thank you.
Kayla Harrison. And
awesome.
I think like it would be nice to see her come over and just see what she can do, because like.
And how heavy or what's her weight?
Probably
the only time you can ask a woman their weight is like in fighting, in boxing or in UFC. How much do they weigh?
Yeah. Thank God they put it in kilograms.
Oh, kilos. Yeah. I can kind of guess.
Yeah.
What's the kilos?
78.
I don't know. I can't convert that in my head.
It's a women's lightweight, so 145 maybe.
I'm assuming that we look really dumb right now. Everyone's probably just commenting. It's like this many pounds. You stupid Americans. Convert into I do agree. I think inches and feet are ridiculous, but it's kind of hard to relearn things.
135.
135.
Yeah,
okay.
Yep.
So about right, about the same weight. No, actually, that's heavier than Shevchenko, but we're kind of everywhere right now, but it's okay. But yeah, I just think Valentina should just do, hey, let me just fight the next, like the top 3 people again, or the top 4 people again. And what's impressive about Valentina is the fact that she can speak like 4 languages really well.
Yeah, she speaks Spanish very well because she's based out of Peru, right?
Yeah, so she's Polish.
I thought she was Russian, like Kurdistan. Kurdistan. That's that little dance she does at the end.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So she speaks that language. I don't know, what language would that be? Would that be Russian?
I think it's a part.
We look like idiots right now. We have no clue what we're talking about.
We need to brush up on our Valentina knowledge.
Yeah. So our fault, but she can speak Spanish, English, and her native tongue, and one other language, maybe Portuguese. I think she can speak Portuguese.
Possibly. Too. Spanish and Portuguese are closely linked. So.
And I think she speaks Spanish better than English. Yeah. Like, her Spanish is really good.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Yep. Her Spanish is really good, and she's just got a lot going on. She does, the whole Bullet moniker. Also, it is, she actually is a professional shooter, like a range shooter. Did you know that?
Sharpshooter.
Yeah, sharpshooter. Okay.
Yeah, sharpshooter.
That's what they call it. But they compete. Like, her and her sister compete in events, and they've won medals. And I don't know to what extent, like if they're in like the UFC of women's shooting, but Hey, if you can shoot and win a medal, that's still that's good in my book.
But speaking of languages, she wasn't fighting in this card, but like, what's with Mackenzie Dern not understanding English?
Yeah, I thought she spent a lot of time in the U.S.
Again, this is probably, you can title this the dumb podcast because I'm just talking out of my ass right now. But from my understanding, when I say by my understanding, it's like by my research on Instagram. I think she was raised or lived a long time in California.
Yeah,
a long time. And she moved back to Brazil as an adult and then somehow forgot to speak English. Is that a thing?
Maybe she just was in her community and the BJJ community and just spoke Portuguese with everyone that she trained with, and things like that. And one of those people who, like, she was born here, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, let's say even if she spent most of her time here, let's say, like there's people who come here from another country and they just don't adapt to English. They just stick to their roots and say, hey, do you know Spanish? When they go into stores and things like that. Maybe she had that approach, and that's why it made it easier for her to move back to Brazil, because she's like, oh, this is what I love. I don't, want to learn English, whatever.
She was born in Phoenix.
Okay, yeah, she was born in the U.S. So, hey,
When I remember one time when a post-fight interview where they needed a translator, and I was like, but I thought she spoke English. She was raised in the United States.
It could be that maybe it's easier for her to understand after she's gotten punched like a mad times.
I don't know,
because I do remember some people having trouble hearing. So now when you're not too like practicing English very much and you have trouble hearing, like in the ring, with maybe she just feels more comfortable talking.
I just realized the AC is on. Is that gonna mess up her?
No.
Okay.
No, we've done podcasts with it on and you could barely hear it.
Yeah, because it reminds me of Alec Baldwin's. We're getting outside of MMA talk right now, but Alec Baldwin's wife, who I forgot her name as well, but who was born and raised in the United States, but visited Spain throughout her youth, and even lived in Spain for a long period of time. And she's not Spanish by any means, but she's one of those people that really loves the Spaniard culture, which I find you're allowed to like what you like. But there was a few sort of interviews and talks where like she spoke English with a thick accent and even forgot to like certain words like cucumber or pickle. I forgot what it called. Like she just forgot. I'm like, it was just one of those things where like, it's just hard for me to fathom. Like, but you were raised in a particular country. How did you just forget it completely?
Yeah.
Like I was born in Puerto Rico. I lived there for about 2 years as a baby. I don't remember any of it. And I was raised in pretty much New Jersey. So I always tell people like, I'm Puerto Rican in ethnicity, but I'm very much New Jersey and American by culture. Yeah. Like both things, but like my Spanish is horrendous, but I don't pretend like I'm good at Spanish. So.
Yeah, I gotcha. I wasn't born here either. I'm also an immigrant. I was born in Guatemala, but I came here also as a baby. The first language I learned to read was English, but the first language I learned to speak was Spanish. So sometimes a lot of my sentences come out
jumbled backwards.
The way that you say it in Spanish.
Yeah.
But it kind of adds a little different dimension to my writing, so it's pretty
pizzazz. Cool. But let's just
nice way of putting it.
Let's run back to. So that's a nice set. Like, this is a very interesting episode. We're kind of everywhere, but it's okay. It's not even late. It's only like it's not even. Like,
it's not late at all.
Normally we have like really late ones. This is not even a late one. Maybe that's why.
You know what though? Before we go into the next fight, we can mention our sponsors. We do have a new sponsor for this week.
A new one.
We have our Day One A1 Premier Rank Marketing. If you have any businesses that need any kind of marketing, Google ads, Facebook ads, social media growth, TikTok, all of that stuff, they take care of all of that. And our second sponsor that I want to bring on board is this nice little soda I have here, Rick's Barbershop. If you're in the Garfield area, you need a haircut, with You Need to Look Sharp for a nice family event. That's definitely the place to go. They jumped on board and are helping us with some of our advertising, so we're very thankful for that. And a special shout out to Rick. And yeah, so
I don't know you, Rick, but I love you. You're awesome. Maybe I'll meet you one day. Maybe you can cut my hair.
Yeah.
But I always liked supporting, mom and pop spots. They're just so hard to come by, like I realized like spots like, Supercuts or Sports Clips, and, when you Google like barbershop or salon nearby, those are the first things that pop up, you don't really see those, a lot of these, I guess mom and pop spots, they don't have that exposure, online, and most, if not everyone, goes online to, hey, let me get a quick haircut, or,
Yeah, that's why, not to bring back the sponsors again, but a company like Premier Rank Marketing is so important, because you don't need to throw out a huge budget for your business. Let's say some of these companies think, I need like $1,000 a month. Some of the services they offer aren't in packaging. Like you can do like Google specific map pack. So like when you're in the area and someone searches barbershop, they put you in the rankings, so you come up number 1, and that alone drives enough organic traffic to your store, and that's one of the most important things, one of the most basic, and one of the most overlooked by local businesses.
Speaking of the word basic, I'm a art teacher, if you guys don't know, and I would say basic all the time in my class, and my students will get offended by me. It's like, I really like this drawing. It's really, you have the basics really well. You have your line, you have your colors, everything's nice, and you got your basics are great. They're like, what did you call me? I'm like, that says your artwork is very basic and good. They're like, oh, Mr. Kennedy, you can't be calling people basic like that. I'm like, no, not that basic, not like the insult basic.
Yeah.
So it's just very, it's kind of, they find me odd. They're like, you don't look older, but you are older, significantly older than us, and so we forget that you don't know a lot of like the slang terms and whatnot.
That word will get you in trouble also with jiu-jitsu. I don't know if we've spoken about this before. I think we might have.
Maybe.
Because we were speaking about how some of the new generation with the leg locks and stuff like that would call, let's say, the old school basic, just because they're like core, just, they don't have thousands of moves, and they're just core. Like, they just get really, really good at all the basics.
Yeah.
And then some of the older generation would get pissed off. They're calling them basic when they're really talking about the core, like core principles.
It just languages. WordsrTough, like the name of the podcast. But it's a language is really a weird thing, I think. I mean, I don't want to criticize Mackenzie Dern. I'm just, hey, if you're watching this, I highly doubt it, but if you're watching this, Mackenzie, let us know. I don't understand. I mean, I'm not criticizing. I'm just questioning, how does that happen? I'm
gonna advertise to like a 1 mile radius of where she lives, so she sees this video, and something Premier Rank will help me with.
and like my comment on the Mac life, I realized, you can only be so careful in how you speak and what you say. You just hope people just don't misinterpret it the wrong way. But I'm just tossing that question out, like, how does one person raised in the country for several years move away, then just completely forget the language? I might sound like a hypocrite. They're like, yeah, but you're Puerto Rican and you don't speak a lick of Spanish. I'm like, I know. Anyway.
Yeah, it could be, but so I mean, now the next fight on the card is Thug Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang.
Yeah. Well, we go from Valentina Shevchenko to Rose Namajunas, and Weili Zhang, or Zhang.
And there was a lot of hype going into this fight because, first off, Rose Namajunas had some like comment as far as like better dead on red, or better dead than red, which was in reference to Chinese communism and things like that. Well, some people, I just feel like they took it the wrong way, because she comes from a place that was devastated by communism as well, so she has her own stake in that comment. But then
it doesn't come from a place of ignorance, or And I
was watching Brendan Shaw podcast, and with the whole COVID
Which
and Donald
one?
Trump.
Which one? He has like 7. He has like
below the belt.
Okay.
Below the belt. So
he has way too many podcasts.
and now like he gets triggered whenever it's something like political, whenever it's something to do with COVID, and like it's so annoying sometimes. And to be honest, Joe Rogan even sometimes like turns me off with some of that stuff. They just got like really on the side of like the conservative just because the liberal movement was trashing on their friends. But anyway, I don't want to go too off tangent. So as soon as he heard this comment by Rose, he knows Rose personally. He completely turned his back on her and was like, "Oh, she's so stupid. How could she be talking about this? How could she be? She doesn't know what Weili Zhang's going through." But like, where did she say that Weili Zhang was a communist? She never said that. You know what I mean? She said she was talking about her family.
Yeah, I think there's dots that are like not connected, and people start connecting dots that aren't supposed to, and you know. It's just a weird. I mean, I didn't read the comment. I'm actually the first time I'm hearing this is when you're saying it right now, but I think it's like wrong timing, just bad timing on Rose's part. But I never got the. I don't, I don't think that's.
Yeah.
Is she dumb? Of course not. But maybe it just wasn't the right thing to say at that time. I don't know.
Yeah, and then she doubled down on it, and she was saying about how like it was her family, like it was really just her family, and she's fighting against someone from a culture where that's happening.
Right.
So she felt it was necessary to say it. Has nothing to do with what she believes in as a fight. Weili Zhang's beliefs. It was more about her and what she feels about what's going on where she's from.
Yeah.
And then people were trying to turn it into like that she was calling her a communist. It was like, they're trying to pin it like on Weili Zhang.
I know. I've had acupuncture, and my acupuncturist. I had 2 actually, and both. One was from Russia, and one was from. I think both were from Russia. And I know, I don't know her, but Christina P. Przinski, Tom Segura's wife, they have like a podcast together, and she talks about like Eastern Bloc Europeans just like detesting socialism, rightfully so. Because they saw it, like I was saying before. I think our first episode I talked about, Marxism or socialism on paper. It seems like a really good idea, but once you start applying it, it gets pretty messed up pretty quick. You don't go full socialist, but there are some little bits that are like, okay, yeah, universal healthcare, got you there, awesome, but everything socialist is like, okay, it's it's a slippery slope. And when people are sort of like push back on that, I can't say I understand, but I try to understand their point of view, because I'm not from those countries.
Yeah, and there's a thing to be said though too, where like when you're trying to push forth a socialist idea, which would be considered socialist from a belief system of that, and where they try to turn it into like, now we're socialists and everyone wants to become a you know what I mean? Like, and like a lot of things with like what's his name, Andrew Yang, I believe.
Andrew Yang.
Yeah, and he wanted the universal basic income. Hello, we've been doing that like the past couple months. Like they've been giving us stimulus.
People
checks.
like it too.
Yeah, and they're still pushing for it. You know what I mean?
People really like that. Like, like you wake up and there's like an extra grand in your bank account. Like, oh, I can pay my rent today. That's awesome. I don't have to worry about feeding my kids this month. Awesome. Or this week. Like it's like. I'm not I mean, this is completely off topic, but like I don't like the whole like team mentality, horde mentality, like, oh, I'm just this or I'm just that, I'm right or I'm left, I'm liberal or conservative. I think there are certain topics I'm very liberal about, and there's certain topics I'm very conservative about. I'm gonna kind of steal Chris Rock's joke about like, I think it's Chris Rock, where he had a joke about, for some things I'm liberal, for other things I'm conservative, and he has this bit about walking that line of trying to be as unbiased as possible and seeing the pros and cons in every situation and deciding from there, not saying everything is this or everything is that.
Yeah, I don't get that. Why people get like that. It has to be like they're on one team.
I think I get it, but I don't.
No, I mean, I just don't get how they can't see that they're doing that.
They're obviously like very, I kind of relate it to it's a bit of a family mentality, and I'm guilty of this with my own family. Is like, growing up, it was completely okay to talk crap about your brother or sister, like, or curse at them, or even fight your siblings. But like, God forbid, like someone else curse at your sibling, you'd be like, "Yo, what the hell?" And like, it's kind of like that. Like, oh, I can, like, it's, I don't know. I think it's okay when you do it, but it's not okay when other people do it.
Yeah,
so it's okay for me to be violent for my cause, but God forbid you're violent for your cause. It's like, how dare you be violent, but then I'm being violent too. Again, I'm obviously being really vague on my because I don't think my political leanings matter at the end of the day, but I really don't. I don't think my political leanings actually matter. I mean, my vote, I guess you can say, matters, but like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where, like, I think you're in the same boat as me in the sense of, like, you want to be as clear-minded in your decision makings and not just say, well, I'm on team blue, exactly. I'm on team red, or I'm on team, I don't know.
That's why I suggest red, for someone who doesn't know yellow, too much about the teams, doesn't know too much about the candidates, there's always these great resources where you can blindly select on all the topics that are on the presidential ballot and things like that, and it will tell you who you align the most with of all the candidates. It'll tell you what they believe in. It'll tell you what party they belong to. I like to do that every time because I want to see where I'm at. Yeah, it takes time. Yeah, because it's like 150 questions, something like that. And a lot of things that you don't even think about that are on the, when they campaign, they talk about.
Yeah, it takes time, effort, energy, and some people, understandably, don't have time to read paragraphs of, like, who this person is, or, may look at a last name, like, oh, he has my last name. Check. Or she has like, their name is familiar to me, therefore I'm gonna vote for this individual. But I do understand, like, well, you have other things to worry about, like your family, your job, you're too tired and all that. So this is why a lot of the quick 30-second sound bites are really popular, because people don't have time to sit down and listen to a 45-minute podcast, which we're doing right now, or 45-minute news speech or whatever. Like, I'll admit, I didn't even hear the whole Biden speech. I heard maybe 10 minutes of it, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. Like, all respect to him, but it's just one of those. Sometimes it can be very tiring to just constantly be on top of all the information possible. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just easier just to say, you know what, I agree with this side. I don't think it's all malicious. To be honest.
You know what? I'm just glad that before it was like every day it was like some like doom and gloom news, for like a long time, for like the last 2 years, I think, maybe before the presidential election. Now you just like, you could pay attention to the news, but it's not like infringing on people's like civil liberties and like people's, like social classes are getting like rights taken away. Like, I just think, I don't know. I think we're in a better spot, and hopefully we keep going on this train.
I mean, we'll jump back into the MMA topic for 1 second. But the last thing I want to say about it, the moment I realized, oh, this is like not a game, but this is like a game for some people. What I mean by that, I remember one time I saw, I don't know how old I was, but it was when George W. Bush was president, and he was having a press conference or speech, and I forgot what country he was in, but some reporter, like, threw a shoe at him.
Oh my God, that's such a good clip. Watch that
and it passes his head, and he looks, and he smiles. And I'm like, this is a game to this guy. Like, he's not taking this seriously at all. Yeah. And I realized not all politicians, obviously, but I realized at that point, like, oh, like, for some politicians, they're not connected to, like, who they're representing. They're not connected to, like, the people that they represent via either by this state or county or town, or I'm pretty sure mayors are connected to their town. I hope they are, but at that moment I realized, oh wait, I started questioning politics, or started questioning like government positions. Like, maybe they're not all above reproach, or obviously they're not all above reproach. None of them are above reproach, but yeah, that was like the moment I realized, oh wait, there's something that's not That's not the correct response you should be having when someone tried to throw a shoe at you.
Yeah. And you know what? 2 things I take away from that. One, George Bush is sharp in his old age. Yeah, George W. He ducked so fast. He didn't get hit.
No.
And the second thing was, I was like, damn, he kind of like kept our honor a little bit. If he would have got hit right in the face with that shoe, that would have been so bad.
Yeah, it would have been embarrassing if our president got hit by a shoe during a press conference.
Yeah, and that's supposedly in those countries.
Throwing a shoe is a big insult.
It's like the biggest insult you can do. They just like drag the guy out of there.
Yeah. So this is the episode of forgetfulness. I forgot the country he was in. I don't know. Maybe I should. It's a weird day, but anyway, maybe I shouldn't eat before I do this. Maybe all my energy is in my stomach right now. But this is a really bad segue, but let's jump to so Thug Rose. Well, you didn't even say like what happened in the fight.
Yeah.
So Rose, I think maybe like 30 seconds into the fight, maybe less than that.
Question mark kick.
She kind of, if you watch it, you don't see it in normal speed, but in slow motion, you can see her sort of kick low, and it sort of just pops up. And Weili just didn't see it coming, and she followed up with a few like hammer fists on the ground, and the fight was over. Did Weili pop up? Yeah, but I do think it was a legit knockout.
She didn't know she was knocked out when she got up until she watched it, and then when she watched the replay on the big screen, then she kind of was like calmed herself down. But at first, she didn't even remember getting knocked out. She's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably Rose has probably the most beautiful cry I've ever seen. Yeah. When she cried when they kind of put the belt around her, I was like, wow, she like cries beautifully.
She reminds me of like when a baby cries and you don't want them to cry, you know, and you're like, no, don't cry.
No, you won. This is a good moment for you. Yay. But I would definitely, we're going to completely not talk about politics anymore. When I saw Pat Barry talk to her, I was like, I got to talk to my fiance that way. I got to like hype her up more often. Like, you're the best. You're a champ. Like, she washes the dishes. I'm like, you're the champ. You're the best. You know, like,
you know,
like she makes dinner. Like, this is the best dinner ever. But legit, I was like, why? Yeah, we should be talking to like our significant others that way. Why not?
He took the reins as her coach once he was out of the MMA, you know, out of the MMA world.
Yeah.
He was a very decorated kickboxer, but it was too late in the game for him to transition with the way MMA was evolving, I think. But he still had some good fights. And he really took the reins as her coach, and like they've fulfilled it, you know, like this is the second time she won a belt.
First woman ever to win win a belt, lose it, and then win it again.
Yeah. So that's an accomplishment in itself. She now knows that she's the best. You know, like on any given day, she could be the best fighter. She is the best right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know how Pat Barry kept it together. You know, I was like her winning the title, you know, and like him being such a part of it. You know, you see coaches all the time like lose it.
And a lot of times, a lot of relationships end because, you know, it becomes a coach, mentor, or mentee, or coach fighter relationships. A lot of times, though, those either the fighter decides to go to another camp altogether, or it can definitely create some strain in the relationship, from what I hear. But like even when I had family try jiu-jitsu and I would like help them out, and they're like, I get it, leave me alone. Like it's like a weird thing, like, or your significant other, like they try your martial art, you give them guidance and they like don't want it. There's like friction there. So
yeah,
just the fact that they're able to do that, and obviously I don't think he's a head coach. I think her and Usman have the same coach.
Yeah, that's her striking coach. What's his name?
We have the dumbs today. We can't remember anything.
His name is
the guy.
A little weird. He does like commentary sometimes for some fights.
He does.
Like I guess they like check in with him. Like, but I'll look it up right now while
I'll talk.
Yeah.
But what I don't want this to happen to Rose and Weili Zhang. I think they're gonna run it back, just like how they did it against champ, the Joanna champion. Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Just like how Rose beat her very quickly. They're like, okay, that's kind of too fast. Just run that back. And I think they're going to run it back, and then same thing's going to happen. So I think Rose is going to fight Weili Zhang again, and then I think the same result's going to happen, but maybe it might last a little bit longer. But it's like it wasn't even close. There was no question on whether she was it a knockout? Was it not a knockout? It was.
Was that a pun?
No question. Yeah, kinda. When I said it, I was like, yeah, that's kind of question. There was no question mark kick, but yeah, they're gonna tell her, hey, run it back, and same thing's gonna happen.
I think Weili's gonna come out the gates just shooting, trying to get her to the ground.
Yeah,
and wear her out.
And if you think about it, Rose Namajunas hasn't been dominated in a championship fight. Even though she lost against Andrade, but if you see the fight, 99.9% of the fight, she was winning.
Yeah, she was winning that fight.
She
I was
just
really upset
held
about
on to her arm for Kimura, didn't let go of it, got spiked on her head, sadly. But if you think about it, she's never actually lost a round, in a championship fight, from my memory, which is really bad today. But
yeah, she. You know what? I mean, I just picture it of course, Captain Hindsight. If if she was getting picked up like that and she just let go of the arm,
let go of it. It could have been a whole
just
different.
Threw in a triangle or something. That could have been something. Well, she could have still got slammed.
Well, you wouldn't have Weili become a champ. It would be a complete different timeline. It would be altered dimension.
Yeah, exactly.
What if?
But that's one of those basic rules, especially I guess when you train, people don't get picked up and slammed like that. So you don't.
I have. Okay.
I mean, I guess you're going. Someone's got a tournament coming up. You might go a little hard. Because they're gonna see that.
Yeah.
But I just mean, I guess she just didn't see it coming. She didn't see that. She's not gonna slam me on my neck.
Yep, she did.
Because that's one of the basic rules. If someone picks you up, you want to let go. Because you're in danger.
Yeah, if you have a triangle slapped on and they pick you up over their head, you're gonna end up like Quentin Jackson, just pile driving that Ricardo Arona. How I remember that guy's name, I don't know. But Ricardo Arona got spiked. If you ever Google Quentin Rampage Jackson versus Ricardo Arona in Pride, Ricardo Arona has a full triangle. Quentin has his hands locked like this, picks him up, and then just slams him on his head.
Yeah.
And I think his head bounced off the canvas, then bounced off Quentin Rampage's head. He got headbutted as well. So, and Arona has after that fight, I don't know where his career went.
He wasn't the same. Yeah.
No,
you're not the same after something like that.
And lastly is transition. These are really bad segues, but whatever. Lastly, we have a Usman versus Mazda Doll. I don't know. I can't remember your prediction, but I predicted that Usman was going to win, but 5 rounds just like the last fight. Because I think the same wrestling was going to happen, and Mazda Doll isn't going to respond correctly to it. But what was your prediction?
I believe what I said was the same thing I was telling people that were asking me that week. My brain was telling me Usman, but I really wanted Masvidal to win. But I think Usman was going to win. I might have said Masvidal because I was just going with my guy. But I'm not afraid to say that I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that fight, my friend called me and he was like, I want to bet. I told him that, so he bet for Usman, and he did a 3-fight parlay. He did Rose, Valentina, and Usman, and he won some big money.
Nice.
Yeah, but with the Usman fight, man, for me, I was really sad about it because this is another one of those fights. It's almost like the Rose fight when she got dropped on her head. Usman was showing some good stuff in the first round, but towards the end of the first round, he couldn't hold Masvidal down. So
Correct.
He had the answer for his wrestling. And once that happened, you kind of saw the face that Usman made. He kind of had that glazed over look that fighters have when they're kind of
distraught
at a loss in there.
Okay.
They're not their game plan, they're trying to figure out a new game plan. And then Masvidal just started landing all those leg kicks, leg kick after leg kick. I think he got too overconfident. He knew that he had the fight
if you
in his hands.
if you see 10 seconds before Masvidal gets knocked out, you can see him getting really relaxed and smiling and not showboating and far from it, but you can tell he felt like, okay, I figured you out. Sadly, he didn't.
Yes.
Sadly, he had a nice ace up his sleeve, and was it a straight left or straight right? But it was
I think it was a straight right. Oh, and by the way, shout out to Trevor Whitman.
Trevor Whitman. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
I do research when it comes to before we talk during our podcast, but like during it, I have so many thoughts in my head. Like names just are the first things to go usually.
And those are like names that you'll recall like 99 out of 100 times when you're talking to anyone.
Yeah.
So you don't even think like, oh, I don't have to research that because
I know
it's Trevor Whitman.
Like why I remember Ricardo Arona's name and Quentin Jackson's names because I just remember that fight, but I wasn't studying it. I just know it. Like okay, I know that fight, but everything I kind of looked up, like all these names, I'm like everything I looked up was left my brain once we started. But I really think as the eating, I think I should eat after the podcast, not before, because maybe I get the dumbs a little bit when after I eat. But speaking of sportsmanship, like I was saying, like I don't know, 45 minutes ago, but Usman's sportsmanship was like giving Mazda Doll props, like, hey, I'm good because of you. Like you made me better. Like
yeah.
and that's rare. I mean, usually fighters will say, "Well, thank you. I appreciate, him taking the fight or her taking the fight, yada yada." But like, you don't really hear. I mean, based on my memory, you don't really hear fighters say, "Hey, he's the reason why I'm better." Usually, they thank their camp, which is fine. They thank their coach and their family, which is fine. But you really hear fighters thank the other fighter and giving them credit for them being where they're at, which is commendable.
Yeah, and I it kind of was really sad for me to see him lose like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, because he kind of had built up through all these fights with the BMF belt or whatever. He had this like aura with like the whole like Scarface theme song he came out to. It was just almost like back in the day when like wrestling was at its best. This whole aura of like this character. You know what I mean? He really embodied it like a little bit even better, I think, than McGregor, because McGregor did it with a lot of shit talking and it was flashy. Like you had like so many people, actors.
Yeah.
Like in Masvidal's corner.
Masvidal doesn't come off like he's putting up like an act. To me, I never met the guy, but to me, it seems like that's legit who he is.
And he has the background. He's like pre-vetted because he used to fight the street fights with Kimbo Slice.
Yeah, so I used to watch those in like I think I was in high school maybe. I think he's a little bit older than me, but yeah, I think in high school I was watching. They're like, who's this like kid fighting?
And I remember like when I was
a kid
them,
too.
Yeah, when I was watching them at that age, I'd be like, who's this guy like with a man bun fighting like huge dudes like bigger than him? And then later found out it was him, once you found that out later in life. It's crazy. And then as far as that, like now it's kind of taken the luster off a little bit of it, but I think he'll still have a couple big fights coming up next and make another little run.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean,
what do you think? What do you think is next for both fighters, Usman or Masvidal, or either or?
Well, Usman, if he doesn't fight Colby, I would say Colby versus Masvidal.
Okay.
Because he's got a feud with both of them. I guess it was smart for him to do that in case whoever won.
Yeah, I feel like Masvidal should. I mean, he could do whatever he wants. He's fine. But maybe he could put up the BMF belt on the line. That's a belt.
I'd love to see Masvidal versus Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz?
Yeah, Nick Diaz, yeah. Because you remember...
They're in the talks. Nick is in the talks with Dana to get back into one or two more fights. We'll see.
He said he wanted some fights. I wonder who's going to fight. Oh, my God. And you got Nate fighting... his fight's coming up right now. Leon Edwards.
He got punched by Masvidal, but yeah... I don't think they'll ever
got punched by Masvidal? Oh yeah, Leon Edwards.
Leon Edwards.
Yeah, what is it, the 3
I don't think they'll ever make that fight because, and this is what Chael Sonnen says. I'm stealing it from him, but like it's this: you don't want to reward that behavior by giving them a fight ever. So I think they'll never ever have the Leon Edwards against Masvidal fight because of that incident. Because you're kind of you're kind of communicating the wrong thing. Like. Imagine like being a teacher and seeing two kids fight, and then like giving them like A's for it. It's like no,
I think,
or I don't know. It's
the only way possible is if Edwards wins the belt. If Edwards wins the belt, his
Yeah.
first defense is against Masvidal.
it has to be that then, I guess. Yeah, that makes
think
sense.
If Masvidal's winning, if he's on a win streak.
But I think Usman's kryptonite is Nate Diaz. I'm gonna put that
You
on
think
paper.
so? Maybe that's why he
If
got all excited.
Usman will beat almost anyone. He will not beat Nate Diaz.
Yeah, that'd be great if he wins the title again. And
He will
have you
not.
seen him lately? He put on some like muscle mass and stuff.
Nate or Nick?
Nate.
Yeah. He's getting. I mean, for his frame, he's getting thick. They've always been longer guys, but it's kind of odd seeing Nate Diaz, Nick Diaz, Mazda Doll, even Diego Sanchez, but he's out of the UFC by this point, are like reaching their prime, and I'm like, we're the same age. What am I doing? Well, I'm not getting hit in the head, which is nice. But even then, I can't remember anything today, so whatever. But yeah, for Usman, I think he should just go up the rankings, like just fight each guy, like number 1, 2, 3, and to 5, and then like do it all over again. And then for Masvidal, I think he should just put up the BMF belt on the line, and
yeah, that'll be interesting. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. Pretty interesting conversation. We kind of went everywhere again, but that seems like that's the norm, that we just have a topic, and we even talked about politics, which I was not prepared to talk about.
Yeah, sometimes when you go on those tangents, though, it comes out the most natural. You get some good
well,
stuff out of
we
there,
mentioned it because Rose put a tweet about referencing what was it again?
The communism in China.
Yeah, and that's a whole thing.
Yeah, that's a big topic.
I don't understand any of it. I'm not an economist or a historian in any way, so.
Well, I actually have some good news. While we were doing this podcast, an email came through.
Yeah, I kept seeing you look down at your phone, like
and
swiping away.
We do have another new sponsor, and the only reason I didn't wait for the next episode is because when this airs, it will be the week of the deadline for your taxes. And if you need your taxes to be done, I'm just doing a solid. Our new sponsor, Worldwide Solutions in Clifton, they just reached out to us and sent us the signed form that they're going to sign on to be our sponsor. So we really appreciate that.
Nice.
Worldwide Solutions. If you need to do your taxes and you're watching this and you still haven't done them because they pushed the deadline back, reach out to Worldwide Solutions. They're right on Main Avenue in Clifton, New Jersey. And yeah, I just wanted to throw them in there last minute because, like I said, the timeline's coming up short, know. So, yeah, I mean, this episode was fun. I love doing MMA episodes, so I'm looking forward to doing some more.
Yeah.
Hopefully after that Nate Diaz fight happens, looking like a good one.
Yeah, like I don't mind doing like a recap, either like prediction / recap thing. Not to give away how the sausage is made, but like we do this like once a week. I mean, we might record 1 or 2 if you can, but because I'm busy, he's busy. But this is fun though. I do enjoy sitting down chatting about all this, and I don't know. But overall, I mean, I do have H&R Block for taxes, but I might actually consider transitioning to our sponsors.
Awesome.
support our sponsors. I'll support our sponsors. You should too.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in again. We're slowly approaching the 10 episode mark, and we've been growing every little episode as we're going along. So we're excited that you're on the journey with us. My name is Jose Rodriguez.
David Diokendo.
And have a good night. Words are tough.
Words are tough. Bye-bye.